Looks like Canon will drop 2 budget cinema cameras next week. GoPro released the Hero 9, Canon will introduce the 250 and 500mm RF lenses, and Nikon announced 2 wide Z-mount lenses. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Simon. Thanks for tuning into The Ordinary Filmmaker. If you're new here, subscribe to get notification of new videos like this one so you don't miss any news, rumors, or tutorials. And don't forget, I'm giving away the Canon EOS R5 full-frame mirrorless camera to 1 lucky viewer. Details are in the description down below. Nikon announced the 14-24mm f2.8 and the 50mm f1.2. If you have the Z6 or Z7, these lenses are definitely worth considering. I love my EF 50mm f1.2. It's an incredible focal length, and being able to shoot wide open is absolutely amazing. If you're planning on getting either of these Z-mount lenses for video, be sure to grab a variable ND filter. It will truly make a huge difference, allowing you to separate your subject from the background, even in full sun. Both of these lenses are available for pre-order, not purchase, but pre-order at Adorama, B&H, Amazon, Wex, and Part Camera. Consider using the links below for Amazon or B&H if you're interested. It's been a while since we got an update on rumored RF lenses. This summer's been all about the Canon R5, R6, and the Sony a7 III. This RF lens list includes rumored lenses to date, and it goes back a good year and a half, almost 2 years. I've just added 2 more lenses to the bottom of the list. The Prime RF 250mm f2 L series image stabilized USM lens, and this is a very interesting focal length. But what is really interesting is the rumored RF 500mm L series Prime f2.8, also image stabilized lens. I'd love to take this out with an extender and see what kind of wildlife and sport shots I could take and video. Sadly, these are CR1 rumors, meaning that they come from unknown sources and should be taken with a grain of salt. And if you take another look at this chart of the rumored lenses, you'll see that they're all CR1 or below. And they go back an awful long time, so we could be waiting quite some time. Now, Gregg did mention anotother lens, the RF 70-135mm f2. This one keeps popping up from time to time. I truly love the EF 135mm. It's an amazing portrait lens. It's perfect for street photography, journalists, and portrait photographers in general. I've covered this focal length before, and even did a segment on the power of the 135mm focal length, and the power delivered with the, well, rumored 70-135mm lens. The power of having 70, 100, and 135 focal lengths at f2, it's really exciting. I'm not sure it's going to be exciting as the 800mm was to me, but for portrait photographers, it can't get much more exciting than this. I know, I shouldn't have said that. I know what you're thinking. But Simon, what about the 28-70? That's a very exciting lens. And it is. But given the choice, I'd probably take the 70-135 over the 28-70. Am I crazy? What would you do? Keep in mind, I'm the ordinary filmmaker and not necessarily a photographer, so my needs might be different from yours, but let me know in the comments section down below. So today is definitely not a slow news day, and this watch is, I don't know why this watch is pinging me. I've set it to airplane mode, and the phone, which I'm using to control the teleprompter, it is definitely turned to airplane mode as well. So I do apologize. Hopefully that won't happen again. But anyhow, let's get back to the day's events. We already know that Canon is going to be announcing the C70 cinema camera. This is supposed to be the lowest entry level into Canon cinema cameras yet. Gregg tells us that they may also be introducing the Canon Cinema C50, an entry-level cinema camera below the C70. It will have a very small form factor, smaller than the C70, which is already considered quite small for cinema cameras, although a little bit portly. The C50 will have the same Super 35 sensor as the C200, but unfortunately, that's all we know as far as specs. Now, these are leaked specs for the C70, which we got, I think, just a week or 2 ago. It's already priced at $62.99, the cheapest of any cinema camera. I'd expect the C50 to be priced somewhere between $49.99 and $54.99, maybe as high as $55.99. The C70, it didn't have IBIS, raw output, and only uses SD cards, so I can't see the C50 getting any of them. Will the C50 be capable of 10-bit 422? Or will Canon drop it to 8-bit 420? Or keep it at 10-bit, but then drop down to 420? It's really hard to say how much Canon will reduce the capabilities, but one thing is certain, the cripple hammer is definitely going to strike. We just don't know where yet. Perhaps this could be the perfect camera for FOMO, as he's looking to change up his R5. It's just not giving him the 4K 60 performance he hopes. All right, on to other news. GoPro has been quiet for a while, at least up until today. They just announced the Hero 9. It delivers 5K video, 20 megapixel stills, that's double the 10 megapixel stills, provides in-camera horizontal leveling, large rear display, introduce a front-facing camera, delivers 30% increased battery life, and provides stabilized video. The price? $449.99. The biggest update to the GoPro camera in a while, high-resolution front screen, something that's missing, and a target of the competition. And the rear screen is a little bit bigger, but you might not notice much of a difference there. But as someone that recently started shooting 8K oversampled video, I can appreciate the 5K video sensor. Oversampling gives us extra detail in the final product, and who doesn't want that? It also allows us to crop in without losing detail. And at 5K, we get all the basic frame rates, 24, 25, and 30 frames per second. Slow motion can be achieved at 120 frames per second, but the resolution drops down to 2.7K. And while we can get up to 240 frames per second, it's only possible in 1080. And while the mods are back, the big news for us video shooters is shooters. All right. For us video shooters is that battery life has been increased by 30%. Battery life is never enough, and extending the time is always appreciated. Sorry, shoopers, I think that should be a word. That's awesome. I'm going to have to start using that more. Sorry, guys, I've got the giggles. I got to try and get serious again. Now, I've always wanted myself personally to get with a GoPro, but my DSLR mirrorless cameras has always kept me busy with new gear to buy. And as you are well aware, accessories for DSLRs and mirrorless cameras aren't exactly cheap. In this episode of Behind the Scenes, I want to talk to you a little bit about my frustrations with audio. Now, this has got nothing to do with my channel. This is all about my fun and gun stuff, and it's really a dilemma for the ordinary filmmaker. Let me explain. So I have here, this is the Sennheiser. This is the first microphone I bought, and it still works. It's the Sennheiser. Sennheiser. Why do I say Sennheiser? It's the Sennheiser 400. This is actually, it has a little muff that goes on here, and this is how it usually comes in the box. But it also, the one I purchased, came with an option for this dead cat. And all you have to do is you take off the wind muff there, you pop this on, clicks in, and this thing's amazing. When you do hear wind, it sounds like wind. It doesn't sound noisy, it's not really bassy, and the audio on this is pretty good. I was actually very happy with this, and the only reason I ended up replacing this, actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you why I'm replacing it. Whoever can be the first person to mention why I'm replacing this, because I mentioned this in a videos months ago, you'll earn an extra entry into a contest for the R5 contest giveaway. Needless to say, it doesn't fit in the hot shoe anymore. Now, while I like the audio of this, and one of the things that was the most frustrating about this microphone is there's the back of it. One thing, first of all, this doesn't come out. But if you notice here, there's nothing on the back to let you know it's on. You have to look to the side here. And right here, right there, there's the little LED light there. And as soon as you turn it on, you might not even see it on the camera. It just blinks to let you know it's on. So right now, it's on. And if I was shooting and I looked at this, I would have no idea it's on. And the amount of times where I would shoot for 10, 15 minutes, bring the camera inside and let it sit for a day or two before realizing I'd left it on, it's a little bit frustrating. Now, the other microphone that I have right now is this one here, which I bought to replace this one when it fell into some problems. Now, what I love about the Rode, first of all, is right here, you've got all the settings right here. And if you turn it on like that, look at that. It's green the entire time. Unless, of course, the battery's low, then it glows red. But you can see visually if it's on or not. And that's saved me an awful lot. I haven't made any mistakes there. But, and when I bought this back, I think it was in February, maybe January or February, I was very happy with this. I liked the sound of it. It was very good. Now, we've been trapped inside an awful lot. Whenever I shot outside, it wasn't windy. It was basically every day was sunny, and when it wasn't, it rained. And we only had maybe 3 or 4 days of rain this summer, so it was always perfect. But now with my son going back to school, it's windy almost every day, and when I take this out there, it's terrible. So I bought the dead cat that's supposed to go with this. And it's not like you take this off and you clip it on like you do with this guy here. No, it's like putting your socks on. If you can imagine putting on tight socks, it's what it's like trying to put the dead cat over top of here. And it does have some Velcro that tightens it in, but then the end result is when you hear the wind, and I'm not talking gale force winds, but it's not that you hear the sound of the wind. You hear the sound of the wind, but it's very bassy, it's very deep, and it's overpowering. And I'm just tired of that. It's really, really frustrating. So I'm kind of looking down at my Rode mic now, regretting it, kind of looking back to my Sennheiser. But, you know, while this mic still works and I do use it in my studio, I need to replace it. And I'm really having a tough time spending another $200 on this, knowing what I know with my channel, and I'm trying to determine what I want to do in terms of upgrading. And so I'm having a tough time. Do I want to go with something pro level? Well, I want it to be simple. I would like something that has a cable. You know, the Synco, it's right over there. Let me just grab it for a second. The Synco mic here, you look at this. It's a cheap one. It's $59. And it's got 2 ports on the back, a headphone jack and a mic jack, and you can remove the cable, which is great. And that's a cheap one. Yet here we are, $229, $200, and neither one is removable, which is really, really frustrating. And if you look at some of the reviews on some of the Sennheiser mics, that does cause problems. The 440, which is a stereo mic, and I've looked at that one, but there's a couple of reviews on B&H and some other sites where they say that there's not a lot of playroom here, so what this can sometimes do is cause problems internally, and then you ended up recording a crackling sound. And that's really, really frustrating. The whole point of buying microphones like this is you want to ensure that you've got good audio, and if you have a potential for these things going wrong, it's a lot of money and the results aren't there, and I'm all about results. So I'm having trouble trying to figure out what to get next. Do I just simply go ahead and, yeah, it's over here, get the Sennheiser 400, I want to say 440, which again, I think is a very good microphone for the ordinary filmmaker. I had this thing for about 5 years, and it still works very, very well. And as you can see, I've kind of stretched this out because I was using it as a microphone, a secondary microphone for the set. Or do I consider going to other microphones completely, maybe going completely pro on the microphone, getting something a little bit better? And that's what I'm trying to work through right now, and this will make a great video later. But it's amazing. Sometimes, you know, it's these low-budget microphones that will give you better features. And yet when you step into entry-level pro or, you know, higher-end microphones, like these where you spend over $200, even sometimes over $400, because the MKE 440 with the dead cat, that's $400, just shy of $400, and that's an awful lot of money to spend when you've got some potential glaring issues. And one of the gentlemen said to get it fixed by Sennheiser, it was $200, and that's enough to have you want to switch vendors. So what do you guys think? For those of you that are doing pro, what would you recommend for me? What do you think would be the best microphone to replace my Rode and my Sennheiser? And something that's perfect for run and gun. I'm not looking for wireless. I know that you do get a bit of a hiss from the camera mic, but this is my fun and gun stuff. It's my amateur stuff. I'm going to be traveling. So the last thing I want to do is sync everything up at the end of the day. With the audio being recorded directly into the camera, then I know that when I've got the clips, I've got the audio right there. Because sometimes when I travel, if it's 2 or 3 weeks, there's so much video to go through, and trying to sync up that audio, it would probably put me in the mental house. I'd get frustrated for sure, and I'd probably get very angry and probably end up just stripping out all the audio and then just putting all the clips down and putting up some sort of score to deal with that. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I've read some of your comments already on some of the microphones that you guys are using, but I'm really curious to know. And yeah, if you're also thinking of upgrading your microphones too, if you're looking at shotgun mics, and one thing about shotgun mics too is, what's the word they call it? Let me explain to you this way. There's a term, and I'll put it in the description, but it narrows the focus more and more to your subject, and it basically ignores sounds to the side and to the rear. It's not fidelity. Oh, I forgot the word of it. But the Sennheiser is actually it's better than the Rode for that, I think, at least in the similar price point. But yeah, no, and I've fiddled around with all sorts of things on the Rode too. I don't want to, I'm just going to get verbal diarrhea here and go all over the place with this, and I don't want to do that. But if you have questions about what mics you're looking at doing, you're looking at shotgun mics, you're looking at lavalier mics, stereo mics, or professional mics, put them in the comment section. And I will put them on a Q&A video because I'm doing a lot of research right now. I'm spending a lot of time reading up on these mics because, you know, this cost me about $260 Canadian, and this is probably going to end up going on a shelf now, and I hate wasting money. It's too hard. It worked too hard to make the money that we make, whether it's for personal or for business, and the last thing you want to do is waste money on microphones that you end up going to not using or not liking. And when I record sounds outside, I want to record things as they are. I don't want them to sound tinny and hollow. If there is noise in the background, I don't mind capturing it, but I want it to be, well, imagine it this way. If you're shooting with a 50mm f1.2 with a variable ND filter set to about 8, and you're setting the f-stop to 1.2, and you see my Q&A videos where me being the subject is fully in focus and the entire background is blurred out because of the depth of field. And that's kind of a visual of what I'd like to do with sound. I still want to make sure my subject is clear, and I want the background to be there, but I don't want the background to look tinny and hollow. I want it to look full and representative, just not overpowering. And that's what I really liked about the Sennheiser. It wasn't overpowering, and it really did focus on the subjects. But if you did set it to wind mode and it was quite windy, then sometimes the audio could sound a little hollow from the subject. But that's it for now, guys. Sorry I kind of went off on a tangent there, but this is something that's been kind of bugging me. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section down below. And of course, if you're interested in winning the Canon EOS R5, I do have details down in the description down below with the full terms and conditions, and I actually have a link to a video where all that information is, and I do talk to that. But thanks so much for watching The Ordinary Filmmaker. We'll see you again soon.